Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. It is December 2nd. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, well, I wouldn't call it the best price action yesterday. A little wild in the beginning. Tech was pretty strong. Didn't think when tech's that strong, the market's certainly going to go down much. It tried to go up. And I talked about it in my pre-market live stream that I said there's major supply and demand above and below. And we hit the major supply and we hit the major demand. And then it just made the market kind of balanced, which was what I expected. Even I put a video on my Discord saying that we're in a really high volume area. You don't just cut through those, and we didn't. Okay, we're still in that area. We're actually in ultimate balance now in the ES, so I'm expecting a big move to happen. We're kind of coiling up for a big move. Okay, so Powell talked last night. I mean, I don't see any headlines about what he said, so I guess he really didn't say much. Okay. But welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's how I look at the markets. Also use Anchor VWAPs, Market Internals, Bookmap, and I use my weekly expected move indicator that I run my Python script every morning and I hand it out for free on my Discord. All right, now hopefully you guys join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. I'll give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, a bunch of technical analysis, and a long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and the ES futures. Okay, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to go join my Discord. That is Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your indicator. Okay. Yesterday I said you're waiting for a discount long. I scalped a couple. Basically made some money yesterday, but was basically, I mean, I call it flat, even though I was green. Nothing too stood out to me yesterday that I was like, oh my God, this is like I see all the time. I honestly didn't like the charts too much. So just because of those rolling VPOCs for the week in the Nasdaq and the ES were lined up, and I was like, this is probably going to just consolidate, and that's what it did. Okay. Now let's move right on into futures watch list here. All right. The Bitcoin fell off yesterday, but it looks like they're getting a little bounce today. Ethereum's up 2.59, Bitcoin up 2%. It's still at 87,000. Remember, that's a high volume node I talked about earlier. Russell's up 0.55, Nasdaq's up 0.42, ES up 0.25. The 10-year yield is up 0.10. Dow's up 0.10. The dollar's flat. 30-year bonds are being sold, down 0.11. Crude is down 0.24. Metals are pulling back today. Metals down. Gold's almost down 1%. Silver's down 1.85. The VIX is down 2.84%, down to a 16 VIX. I think we got up to like a 18 VIX yesterday. So let's look at the Max 7 Plus here. You can see Bitcoin, Coinbase's Bitcoin proxy bouncing a little bit. All right, AMD had a decent day yesterday, and that's up 1%. Broadcom sold off yesterday. That's bouncing. Amazon's up 0.94. The only laggard, which I barely call, is down 0.13. Apple had a very, very nice day yesterday. Okay. Moving on. Top sectors. Oracle's that's been slammed is bouncing today, up 1.83%. Followed by GE Vernova, which also slid yesterday. Palantir down 0.9, up 0.96. The laggard today is the miners. That's no surprise. We know that already. Now, my little granular list here. Snowflakes up 3.38%. Unity Software 3.15. Marvell Semi up 2.69. Wayfair up 2.24. All right. Now, is there laggards here? Iris Energy down 4%. Alibaba down 1.53. There's nothing really to note here at all. Now, I talked about it earlier in the morning on my YouTube. I guess we call it the card that you put up. Relative, the volume's pretty low today. So I'm not sure what to expect without some kind of news or something. Okay. Let's go to the sectors. Semis are up 0.75%. Followed by technology, up 0.49. Discretionary, there's really no laggard today. Okay, really no laggard today. Here's your relative volume here. The ES 57%, the NASDAQ 67%. That's not great. That's not great. December always becomes a weird month for volume because you just had Thanksgiving and then we're going to be coming into Christmas. Um, so I know I have a volume, relative volume chart here for seasonality. Let's see. I know I have one. Here we go. December actually has decent volume. Let's see here. So I'll show you this real quick. The seasonality chart of the SPY for the last 10 years. You can see the weakest month is September. The strongest month is November. And it's interesting. It shows here, and these gray bars are volume over the last 10 years. March is the most volume, followed by December actually, and January. So the volume actually averages a little hotter in December. All right. We will see. We will see. All right. Moving on to the economic calendar. And what do we have today? We have Fed Bowman speaking 10 a.m. Fed Bowman speaking, and we have API crude. Okay, so Fed Bowman speaking, and that's about it. Now, as far as Trump today, I think he's going to make an announcement at 2 o'clock. That's not here. Let's see, 10 a.m. there's Fed Bowman and Trump cabinet meeting at 11:30. I hope to have a trade done by then. I really don't want to sit in a trade while he's talking. Let's move on. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe there's a sometimes they do a nice little summary of stocks moving in the morning. I don't really see it. Looks like Shopify's stock rises at the record buyback. What else is here? Nothing really too much there. Let's look at here. All right. Exclusive. Apple to resist India order to preload state-run app at politically outcry bills. Exxon in talks with Iraq about buying Lukoil stake in giant West Kurna to oil field. Tariffs, AI boom could test global growth resilience. Bristol Myers must face $6.7 billion lawsuit over delayed cancer drug. Warner Brothers Discovery gets mostly cash offer from Netflix. Let's see here. I'm just looking at if there's anything that stands out to me that we already said. Looks like Eli Lilly raised his target price to 950 to 8 from 830. Okay. Kind of quiet on that news front here. Let's see if there's any updates, upgrades, downgrades that I didn't catch. T-Mobile upgrade. See downgrades, man, nothing there to really write home about. I think we can move on. Let's look at those market internals from yesterday. At one point, oh, look at that. Tech did. The market's not really going to go down much, folks, when your Infotech is up 1.08% from the open. And at one point, all four of these were green. That's very hard for the market to go down. All right, so you can see the market cap was significantly stronger than the equal weight. See how equal weight really died? It was a divergence there. All right, and it's kind of wild because you went up, came down, went up, pulled back, made a high, and then sold off, and then just kind of did nothing. Right, just kind of did nothing. So nothing to really make about this except the tech. You're just not gonna fall when tech's like that. Okay. All right, let's move on. Daily charts here. Now, one thing here, MicroStrategy, I know is making like some news because they had to sell stock, something like I want to say 8 million shares or something. Now, let's look at that because the volume from yesterday is pretty significant. Look at that volume from yesterday. Now, they did get bought. They hit last month's lows, a key level here at 173. But they, I think, mentioned yesterday sold stock, I think, in November somewhere. So we'll see. We'll see. A lot of people talking about this as a Ponzi scheme, and I don't fully understand what Michael Saylor is doing. So I'm not going to claim to be an expert in that at all. Okay. So we broke this uptrend. It was very steep. I wouldn't write home too much about that. We're back testing this downtrend, and you can see that's Friday's close. We almost hit that, but we still opened. We still had well, this is a white candle in this case, but a green candle. I still had an up day. Okay. Now we're only expecting $13 this week of a range. You can see the weekly expected moves down around 670. Okay. We'll see what we do. Basically rejected at last week's highs. Let's look at the this is daily charts. I don't know if I put that up there yet. Let's where are we now? Let's see, 682. We're right here. We're at the upper third of yesterday's range. Okay. If you just do this over the last month, you'll see what I'm talking about, how we're going to be in ultimate balance. Basically, look at where we've been. You see this? 3 daily candles, another 3 daily candles. Look where we're at, another 3 daily candles. This is a very highly traded area. That's why I'm expecting the market to slow. Okay. We just made a big move as well. Let's look at the futures here. Okay. Future shows it pretty good as well. A lot of trading here, right? 3 sessions in a row now. We're in this area. Okay, so again, you can look at this, right? So, not much to show you here. Okay, I'm just showing you that we're balancing. Now you can look at this and say, ooh, we have a nice, come on, really? Let me just exit this pen here. Kind of have an inverse head and shoulders pattern. So you got your left shoulder, your right shoulder. I'm sorry. Yeah. Your head. Actually, drew that wrong. left shoulder, right shoulder, neckline, head. So there's your inverse head and shoulders on a daily chart, and there's your breakout, 68.80. I don't know if that's going to come to fruition, but it's just pretty easy to see it. Let's look at the Qs. The Qs also broke this uptrend. It doesn't really mean much. Okay, you can see this is a little balance area we're coming into, and like I mentioned yesterday, 625 is a very key resistance level. Another key one would be 619. That was last week's lows, Friday's close. You notice we hit Friday's close on last week's highs yesterday. That was where we sold off or hit resistance. Okay, we are at 619.60. We are right at yesterday's highs. Okay, right at yesterday's highs. Let's look at futures. Look at these equal highs. That's a pretty good resistance area, the 255s in the NASDAQ futures. But look at this big resistance here, around 257.72s. That's big time resistance. Okay, and again, look at the trading volume in the, oh, that's not what I want to do. In this area, right? Look where the price action is. Okay, and if I extend this, right, if I just extend it, hello, okay. See this big trading volume? We're coming into this volume, and it's slowing the market down. Okay, a lot of trading volume here. You retest it again, it usually slows down the market. It's like, but look at it like traffic. You just came into a traffic area again. Okay. So I'm expecting us to coil, which is what we're doing, right? Again, not very exciting, but that's just the truth. Let's look at breadth. Breadth improved. It got worse yesterday, actually, but breadth was improving. We got down to 52%. We went all the way up to about almost 60% over the 50-day moving average. You can see we got worse yesterday. Now let's look at RSP. Remember, RSP is just the equal weight. See that inverse hammer here? That had a not the best day yesterday. So equal weight. But I showed you my internals. We just did not have the best day yesterday, but market cap did. And market cap is how our S&P moves. Okay. Now, real quick, we can look at Bitcoin here, just to show you that chart. I'll show you that chart. Give me one sec while I pull that up. And it's beautiful. This particular workspace I have just really shows you good levels. Okay. So remember what I talked about here. This is Bitcoin. So remember what I talked about here. I said this high volume node right here. I said that's the stop that the market needs to hold in Bitcoin. You notice how that if you keep going across, that's exactly where it stopped. And I said it needs to make a decision here. Does it hold this level? So you had almost like a sweep here, and then it tried to go up and look, hit this level, the 93. That was a key level. See this bottom of this high volume node here of the most trader price of the year, right there. It's probably, I think it's around 95. It failed there. All right. Now, I'm saying it needs to make a decision here, because 76, 77 is a key level. Okay. So Bitcoin really has to do something here. If we go a little longer term, this is a weekly chart. Okay. And you can see weekly, you see this chasm here, this low volume node, that's that 77, right? And then you have another, like right here around 53. Okay. If we go to, this is a monthly chart with weekly profiles. We're at the most traded price of the month right now, around 87. Okay. And this is the monthly, right? So pretty nice move up from 127 all the way down to here. Like I said, there's your key 77 level. We just have to see what happens. Do we come down here? I don't know. I really don't know. I just wanted to show you guys that. All right. Let's look at silver real quick. Silver just hit all-time highs. Okay. Pretty nice moves in silver. I wish I had more. I am a holder in silver. You can see on the RSA, kind of oversold a little bit. Okay. Just wanted to share that with you guys. All right. Now we're going to move on to hourly charts. Not much to talk about here besides the ultimate balance to what I said in the ES here. Okay. Let's look at this together. This is your hourly charts. Okay, so I talked about this yesterday. I said we have big demand zones, right? Right here. The overnight activity yesterday hit it again. The black is the real-time trading hours, right? What did we do? We came into this supply. A supply from the past and a new supply, right? That's where we sold off. Where did we come back into? The supply from the demand from the overnight. We bounced, right? Came back into that, bounced again, right back to this supply. Okay? So we're just ranging. You can see it here. We're coiling up. Okay? Now, this, what do you call it? Right here, this area, let's call it 68.43 to 68.30s. I talked about this in a video yesterday. That's ultimate balance now. It's the most traded price of the rolling week and the rolling month. Okay? Most traded price of the rolling week and the rolling month. Big moves happen from ultimate balance. Okay? Big moves happen. So I want to zoom out here. This is why it's the most traded price of the month. So a lot of trading volume in here. A lot of trading volume in here. And look at the trading volume again. So this market is going to make a decision on this level, the 68.30 to 68.45s. Okay? It's a big pivot level. Okay? So if we find acceptance above this level, we could probably try to go for all-time highs. If the market starts to retest and go fall back, you have poor structure here. We could find ourselves down into this triple high volume nodes again. Okay? So right now we're just, you bottomed here and you just ripped up, and now we're consolidating. This is a big time decision maker here. What do we do? This or this? I don't know what will happen. On seasonality side, we go higher, but you never know. It's never a guarantee. Okay? Never a guarantee. Let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a little different in structure. Okay? It's still balancing. All right? Still balancing. We don't have ultimate balance, but we do have this 25320s about this area. See the high volume node right here. We're just balancing around that area. Same thing here. Came into the supply, sold off, came into demand, got bought, came into supply, sold, retested the 25320s. Now we're pushing up where? To last week's highs. Okay. So this is like a very key area here. It keeps getting resistance. The 255s, Right here, that's last week's highs. That's been resistance, resistance, resistance. All right, the more time you knock on something, it gets weaker. So if we pull back again and we come back here again, do we go higher? I don't know. I don't know. If we zoom out, okay, I want to show you this area. Picture this like the triple high volume node area in the ES that I talk about, but we're really close to this area. You see this area of high volume? So that 25320s or 253s. The NASDAQ just needs to hold above this level. Hold, and see if it can start to creep back up. And you got a big gap here above us, right? So the 253 is very crucial. Okay. Now the triple high volume node in the ES is way down here as far as where price is. The NASDAQ just got over this high volume area. Just needs to hold it. And it can go higher. Failure back under it, it could get really ugly. 248 is still the most traded price of the month. Okay. That's your NASDAQ. What I'm just trying to see here if I can show you. Let's see here of the last month. So if I go back, just to get a visual here, if I go back right here, really, to here, let's see the volume. Whoop, there it is. And what do you know? Right here. That's the most traded price, 25320s. That's the largest volume of that whole area. Pretty interesting. That's where price bounced right off of. Notice that? So that's our hourly charts. I think we can move on to the market profile, volume profile. And just get right into analysis, like I said. And this is your market profile, volume profile. All right, let's look at some levels here. Beautiful levels here. So yesterday's lows and the overnight lows are equal. I call that a confluence low. You have demand right here. That's an area of interest. You have a big, I think this is an 8-hour demand zone. So basically 8 hours of consolidation, and then we exploded higher. Right at the most traded price of the month, which is like 68.33. Remember, this is ultimate balance. So if you just keep in balance, this becomes the mean of the balance area. Okay? But the farther away you move, a big move will happen. Do I know when the big move will happen? No. Okay? So you're going to mark off yesterday's highs and overnight highs right here where price is now. You have a supply zone. You have last week's highs right here. Notice the NASDAQ has been hitting last week's highs. ES has not. Okay. Right here. Okay. Now, if this VPOC for the overnight pushes up to here, we have so much overhead supply here. This is why these charts are not my favorite. There's not clear paths of like, oh man, this should be easy. It's just not clear. You know? And I know from my eye, from doing this, right away, I'm like, well, we could stay in balance, but you have ultimate balance in the middle here. Ugh. A lot of the supply overhead, a lot of demand below. You even see here the profiles balanced, right? Unless we get a news catalyst in this low volume, we'll just have to see. Okay, we just have to see. So this is the levels right here. And now you have a very key level here too as well. This is also a confluence high, your 68.64s. So that lines up with last week's highs. Okay, so you do have another level here. Okay, now let's break this out. We'll break this out. That's not the one I wanted to break out. That was yesterday's. I want the overnight session. There's your overnight. Okay. Now, let's get into scenarios here. Okay. So, we're in ultimate balance. Right? Remember what I said. If as long as we hold above this and start to push up, we can get a big move. There's just a lot of overhead supply. So, this is not going to be easy. We tried yesterday and failed. Right? Now, let's see if we try again. I don't know. Right? So, you're right in this ultimate balance. What would be a nice thing would be a push up, maybe even take out yesterday's highs. Maybe you get the pullback to this 68.45 level, hold it. That could go and target last week's highs. You do have a high if you hit last week's highs, you could wind up hitting this high volume node up here around 68.75. Okay. That would be a little break of this balance area. Now you could really get rolling because this is ultimate balance. Now I don't know how much power we have to move up that high, but it's out of ultimate balance, and I have to remember, out of ultimate balance, big moves happen. Okay, big moves happen. Now if we get a quick push down here, right here, around the 68.32 level, okay, which happens to be the month-to-date anchor VWAP and the week-to-date anchor VWAP, right into this 8-hour demand zone. This is where I want to see the market really see if it can hold this. Now, I don't like that we're in the middle of this balance. This has to be quick. So if you get a quick move, I think that could be a nice one. If it's not quick, you're going to get chopped up in here. So I prefer this. I don't want to go deep into this yesterday's session. Okay? Remember, we're still inside yesterday. Now, if we're talking about balance, right, and the market just stays in balance, well, we could even fall all the way down to where? That confluence low, that 68.12s, right? Maybe even down to 68.02, 6800. This all demand. So all you need is a higher low, and we can start to move back into the mean. Okay? So this would be just a reversion to the mean trade here. Now, if the internals are not that weak, this is definitely a good play. Okay. Now, of course, what do you want to see? I want to see tech strong. That just gives me extra confidence to go long. So that's what I'd like to see. Don't know what we'll get. Let's go to the short sides. Because we definitely are at that area. If it's balanced, the shorts are definitely in play here. Okay. You're at an ultimate balance. And let's say if we do that extension, and let's say we do hit that key 68.63s, that level, last week's highs. It's a confluence high because it lines up with a particular overnight high and another high here. Okay. Let's see. It sells off. You get a lower high. You could start to go back to ultimate balance. That would be a nice trade. Now, if you talk about balance rules, we should start the cascade. If you start the cascade, this is balance. We should test the 6812s. Maybe even go down to 6800s. And if it's imbalanced, you will find a bottom and you will push back up. Okay? I think that's what I'm really interested in. And again, if the market internals are like not that strong, let's say tech is actually weak off the open, then that gives me more confidence to short. Okay? All right, let's go on to the NASDAQ. Gonna make this a little bigger now. Now you can see, right, structurally, just for the near term, NASDAQ is stronger. Okay? It's hitting its head against last week's highs. Okay? It keeps finding resistance here. There was resistance from the past, tried to break it, this level, came up again, came up again. Okay, you have a balanced profile because we know we're in balance, right? Now, right off the bat, NASDAQ is definitely a stronger structure. Okay, why is that? Stack demand here, and you have the overnight lows right at your 25320s, the most traded price of the week. You notice that the ES is like in the ultimate balance is in the middle of the balance. Okay, NASDAQ's overnight lows are at that key level, so this is a really nice area here that NASDAQ just wants to defend. It's the overnight lows. Okay, it's the midpoint of yesterday. It's the value area low from yesterday. It's just a lot of buyers in here. Okay. Now, if you look at this, we were gapping up for a little bit, but we're right at this key level. Okay, right at this key level. It's a breakout point. Now, I don't know if it does break out. I don't know. Okay, but the overnight VPOC is right here. It is like 25492s. So right now, you know the most trades of the overnight has happened up in the range. Okay, you do have a nice, I think this is an 8-hour demand zone here. You could see the thicker the border, the bigger, the stronger of the demand zones. Okay, so we know we have this area here that we need to break. Okay, specifically the overnight highs, right? Last week's highs. Okay, a lot of overhead supply still. Okay, do we break this? I don't know. So you have a nice thin tail here. Okay. Now you have this low here around the 252s. That's yesterday's lows and a prior low right there. Okay, now I'm going to mark this right here, the top of this demand, and the most traded price. It's the most traded price of yesterday. Okay. That could be a buy point. Now, let's break out the session. Okay. This area is very key here. All right, so let's go to the scenarios. All right. Let's check this out. I don't know if I put this up. My daughter is saying goodbye to me, so I'll put it up again. Let's start off with the bull side here. Okay, we know we're at last week's highs. That's been resistance, right? So I would expect a pullback here. Most share price of the overnight right here. All right, if we go away from that, I expect this little thin volume right here. This could be a good buy right here. You're hitting that you're hitting that 8-hour demand. Okay, you can see there's prior resistance here that turned into support. So I want to see how this reacts. It's a big zone. Okay, big zone. You might, you might get a shallow pullback. There you go. Break that. If you break last week's highs, I think you got a clear shot to try and test the 256s. Okay, this all depends how the market opens. If you get a deeper pullback all the way to yesterday's most traded price around the 254s, that could also be a point. You got yesterday's close as well right there. You could bounce off that and you could start trending up and just also tag that. Okay. One more deeper pullback. Remember, this is 25320s. All it has to do is defend the overnight lows. You could also start to move up. All right, remember, because this big level here just has to hold. You stay bullish. Under that level, not so much. Okay, so that is your longs. Shorts. So shorts right here, we know we have prior resistance. We know we have supply up here, right? We know people are long from here, right? And this probably be a good take profit area, right? So if we push up, try to break this area and fail. Lower high. Your key level is right here, your 24990s. That's the most traded price of the overnight. Longs are there. If you slice through that, you should take out this thin volume and test that demand. That might be the trade. Okay, that might be the trade. And you might get that deeper pullback back to yesterday's most traded price. Then there's so much stacked demand here. If the market is not that weak, I don't see you getting too far. However, that's why I don't like this as much. It's good up here for a short, right? And then you're done. You'd have to get a lot to go on your side here. You'd have to take out the overnight lows, this big high volume node, and see if you can test the other side. Now, a lot has to happen for that to happen. There's a lot of buying here. I don't think that would be a very easy move unless there was some news catalyst. Unless there was a news catalyst. Okay. So I think that's the best bet. Okay. Now, maybe if you break through here and you get a little consolidation, you could try to go for yesterday's lows. Okay. And I think that's about it, folks. All right. So, hopefully you enjoyed that analysis. Smash the like button if you did. That would be much appreciated. And as always, please join me every morning. Give you the market story, market news, economic calendar, leaders and laggards. Okay. Technical analysis, and I just gave you the long short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. All right. Remember, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Remember my free indicator there that I run every Monday morning, and I post it every week. Put that on your Thinkorswim. Also see it on your phone. Remember, 70% of the time, the market stays within those range. So whenever you're hitting a range, the upside or the downside, most times, more than not, that's your I wouldn't want to long too much if I'm hitting that level. The options market is telling you it's kind of not priced in. Now, if he really rips through it, that's a different story. Same to the downside. It just keeps you at bay from going, ooh, I want to long this. Because it's crazy when it hits those levels, how all of a sudden it stops. And it's kind of interesting. Okay. Now, everybody, have a great day. Remember, no trade's a trade. If I don't see you in my room, I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, everybody?